Hey everybody, and welcome back to The Hole in the World, an actual play of Monty Cook Games' Invisible Sun RPG. As always, I am your GM, Zach, otherwise known as Great Zamino, and I use he, him pronouns, and I am once again delighted to introduce to all of you guys the cast members of The Hole in the World, starting on the left-hand side with Marcy, if you would like to go ahead and give us your introduction.
Hey y'all, it's me, Marcy, aka Experimental Madness, which is still the name you can find me most places around the internet, except for Twitter, where I remain the resident cryptid, but in theory you can find me under the username Marcipal. And I'm back once again playing Gavriel Kazan. I'm still getting used to saying that as her last name. And I am the ardent iconoclastic apostate who hosts a choir.
Awesome. Moving down the list, or the overlay as it were, Bill, if you'd like to go ahead and give us your introduction.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill. You can find me on Discord. I am at GhostSpike over there, and I'm playing Maurice, who is Maurice Webb, who is a stalwart empath of the Order of Weavers who turns tales into reality.
Awesome. And moving over to the right-hand side of our overlay, Hopper, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, you've done such a good job already. I'm Hopper. I use they, them pronouns, and I can be found in, on, and around the interwebs at Fail Deadly, but that is with a 3 instead of an E, so it looks like Fail Badly. And I am playing Okras, the iconoclastic ardent apostate who heralds endings.
Awesome. And finally, last but not least, Marissa, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa, she, her pronouns, and I go by Critical Kitten with various punctuation here and there on the interwebs. And I play Kyrrie von Hollingsworth, first assistant librarian of the Order of the Vance. She is an aromatic stoic who understands the words, guardian of Celestica's Grimoire, curator of King Nine's library, and rectress of reflection. Awesome.
So, as we begin this, our 4th episode of Season 2, Part 2 of The Hole in the World, we have some ground that we need to cover. And before we cover any of that ground, I, of course, need to put on a little bit of music, which for y'all might be a little familiar. So, last session, our Vizsla found themselves in a position of somewhat kind of transition, as it were. All of you found yourselves preparing for your imminent departure from Satyrine, the city of notions, in order to decide to head decidedly for the Silver Sun. Where not only did you hope to find out more information of your compatriots from that you had learned about in the war report, but also to find the long lost parents of Gavriel. So, in preparation, you guys went about your business in Satyrine, connecting with old compatriots and colleagues, finding yourself a new sets of locations for your own personal HQs, reacquainting yourself with your old haunts, and wherever possible, just kind of girding and preparing yourselves for the next step in your journey. And oftentimes this resulted in some really magical interactions, I would say. Our previous episode ended with I believe, Kyrrie, you actually kind of having your own kind of personal revelation as you tried to figure out how best to bring back your friend Twig from wherever they had gone in the actuality. So, with all of these preparations underway, you had given yourselves about a week, which could have been artificially stretched while inside the oblong chamber of the Hendasa Acclamation Center. But prior to deciding whether or not to take that next step and to go about your next any additional steps thereafter, you guys completed your first day in this week of preparation, and it is on the 2nd day that we are going to start with all of you. And I'm going to change the music from our old theme by Kai Angle. And who do we start with on this, the next step of your preparations?
Nobody speak at once.
I will.
Well, on this, the day of my second preparations, you come to me and ask me to describe what you want. I think we see we see Okras, who is a slender, well covered, very thoroughly covered figure with bright red hair, green eyes, and a half mask that is silver, with filigree that is reminiscent of clocks and hourglasses, and a kind of somehow still grubby coat slung over a silver breastplate that seems to match the theme of this half mask. They are seem to be kind of doing the equivalent of driving golf balls, but with a sledgehammer out in this section of the ruined expanse. Just kind of getting a feel for the new grip, getting a feel for, this big old chunky wacky boy, and what that balance is, what the how fast it moves, how hard it is to stop. Reacclimating themselves with the world.
And what is that like? What does that feel like as you are in this city that, for all intents and purposes, has all of this evidence of the conflict of the war, and yet none of the recollection or knowledge?
It feels strange. Something's wrong. There should have been an end to this, and then instead of somebody losing or the story ending, the story was reset, which is extraordinarily wrong. It's not how things work. It's not how things are supposed to work. And whatever did this is just deeply upsetting to Okras. It's not an ethical or a moral judgment call. They can feel it in their bones and in the empty space where their heart should be.
And you just hear whoom, as a massive chunk that you have hit with your sledge ends up traveling through several layers of some sort of drywall-like material, carving a path through the ruined expanse. Are you with anybody now, or are you kind of having this moment to yourself?
I think Okras is kind of uncertain what to do right now. It feels like that everybody else has plans and connections and things to do. They got shown a space where they could rest, I guess, and kind of use as a space by Gavriel. But home is a very difficult concept for somebody like Okras. And I think they're just kind of waiting for everybody else to do these trappings of the things that make Vizsla, and it's kind of frustrating. It seems unnecessary. It seems like it's just wasting time.
And so you are kind of waiting here. I am going to turn a card to see if anything happens within the ruined expanse.
Slippery Jack, I'm gonna fucking murder him.
And we have the lucky coin. Its color is silver. It weakens gold. Its meanings are good fortune, wealth, freedom, unexpected luck, and unstructured. So the PC succeeds at what they attempt to do, even a greater degree than they thought possible. The PC gets an unexpected windfall. The PC or an NPC ally gets free of something that fetters them. An NPC comes into a great deal of wealth. A group of wild, unfettered individuals is involved in the matters at hand. I think that speaks for itself. Something good is coming. It's likely nothing one planned on or was expecting. and it can come in many forms: success, money, or the elimination of a problem. The lucky coin is a positive card turn and suggests that the person in question has perhaps less structure weighing upon them than they thought. Fewer strings for the marionette, so to speak. They are more free than they believed, free to act and do as they please. If you find a good luck charm, hang on to it. They're rarer than you'd think. And I think it's in this kind of like notice that, like in this kind of frame of mind, I think that that unstructured, it's seemingly oppressive to you at this moment, like that lack of kind of, you know, clear objectives, that kind of idea of like, you know, everything kind of being open to you in this moment, you know, proceeding on to the next step. And there does kind of occur to you this moment where perhaps this is not, I think, the burden that you've kind of placed on yourself. And as you kind of, you know, maybe come to this realization, or you begin to ponder this thought, Gavriel, where do you come from upon this scene?
You hear a resounding gunshot from next to you as you swing the hammer. And you see, if you turn, you would see Gav like aiming down the sights of her rifle as she fires at the object that you broke away off of one of the pieces of the ruin, like several leagues on down. And she flips the gun up and stations it like right in front of her, and sort of gives you like an amused side eye. And she says, you know, if you're bored, we could find a better use for what you can do with that weapon.
I am incredibly bored.
And I could use some decent training.
What did you have in mind?
Come step into my office. And like Gav holsters the gun and starts walking down from this ruined, it's like a parapet, would you say? Like a ruined rooftop?
Oh yeah, I think it's kind of like one of those moments from like the occupation of Paris, where it seems like there's just a part of the building of this edifice that's practically been carved out by mortar fire or whatever, kind of with a relatively kind of intact, albeit fairly ancient set of furnishings inside.
Yeah. And just outside, I mean, there's plenty of space anywhere that we chose to go, as long as we stay away from the obvious hate cis. She just sort of gestures, it's been a while since I've sparred with anyone.
What do you have in mind?
No? What, show me what you can do, really.
Okras is just gonna kind of look around at, since we're not indoors, we're outside. Okras is going to, well, first, I'd like to use the one of my forte abilities to clear a bit of space.
Okay.
And I think you kind of see them, because why would I not? Let's go with so the impermanence of objects, which is lightly weakened by the current card, unfortunately, but is still probably well more than powerful enough to destroy random debris. All objects within a short distance of me that are not being worn or held shatter, break, or crumble to dust. Ooh, and I get a random ephemera.
Mm-hmm. I am looking up the ephemera deck as we speak. Yeah. So you clear the spot. I think what does it say? It's the level of the ability halved, rounded
yes,
down.
Rounded down, yeah.
So what is the level with the decrement?
I believe a 5.
Okay, so let me find you a level 2 ephemera item.
Yeah, what this looks like is Okras just kind of gives like a casual baseball bat swing of this sledgehammer and just slams it into the ground. And then there's this just nova of unenergy. It's almost like you're watching nothing actually moves at first, but you begin to watch all these bits of rubble, chunks of facade, bits of concrete just start to trickle as they break down into their component materials until there's a pretty clear space as the entire space kind of sinks a little bit and clears a almost perfect circle.
And under a bit of debris, you notice with a little sheen to it, this kind of box that you recover. It is a level 2 ephemera as you look at it, this small wooden box. And as you kind of, I think your hands kind of probably accidentally maybe push open the lid of the box a little bit, you hear a sharp shriek of and just immediately, I think, probably place your hand over top of the lid so it doesn't open again. You now have a box of screams, which is a level 2 ephemera. When you open this box, dozens of screaming faces emerge and create a loud racket that is unnerving or just annoying, depending on the listener. The depletion is 0 for each round. Its color is appropriately silver.
All right.
Who doesn't want a box just full of screaming faces?
Not this guy. I love screaming faces.
This one's for the parents on the street.
The toy that every child's gonna want this holiday season.
Screaming faces.
The scream box.
The scream box.
Don't make me spill my beer. Okay.
Amazing.
Not this early in the stream anyway.
So Okras is just kind of and tucks it into a pocket. All right.
Gav removes her rifle and like takes off her jacket and gives her knuckles a bit of a crack and like slides one foot back and getting into a pretty typical fighting stance. So I have to be completely honest, I don't normally go for hand to hand, but did you and Mott ever spar?
Numerous times.
All right. Show me how.
He was a prodigious fighter.
So, as you prepare, I need to change the music a bit. All right.
Let me pull up the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I've got a list here.
Yeah, actually,
I had to make a spreadsheet for this fucking
tank
character.
on tank.
Yeah, let me go ahead actually change this to the Kai Engel song, Tumult. All right.
Boise.
Yeah. So as you kind of prepare and you square off against each other, let's make this interesting. I think that at this case you are kind of sparring with each other, but what I would like to do is make contested rolls, one between the other, and just see how well each of you are doing from the kind of perspective of form, like how your form is as fighters as you kind of square off.
Okay. I think Okras is probably going to pump some sortilege into this to make use of some abilities that they've picked up over the years. Mm-hmm. Is that cool?
Are you asking me or are you asking Gavriel?
I mean, if you're laying on the abilities, then I mean.
Oh, do it.
You see a red glow infuse Gavriel as soon as that right foot kicks back, as she calls upon her angelic zeal.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice. Okay, so Okras kind of tosses that. There's a very, I think, almost in direct mirroring to Gav's like kind of tossing aside. I think there's an energy here that it's just like, oh, cool, I get to do what I do now. And I think that this is probably there's a not a sense of happiness, but a kind of a sense of joy. A very low key vibe. There's a vibe of joy in the air as Okras tosses their tosses their jacket aside, tosses the sledgehammer aside. So there's just this breastplate plus the half mask, and you just watch as red begins to infuse the symbols of clocks and stopwatches and hourglasses that are filigreed into this mask, and their hands just kind of ripple with some energy.
All right.
Okay.
So for our listeners and viewers at home, Marcy, what does, or Gavriel rather, what does angelic zeal entail?
It just gives me an enhancement to my attacks that encourage offensive actions. I get to add 3 bene and 1 enhancement to the accuracy pool.
Awesome.
For my strikes.
Excellent. So yeah, you guys go ahead and roll off here. Use your enhancements, use your bene as you desire, and describe what this looks for us, rather.
Okras, actually, the thing that I'm using is really more aesthetic than anything else, because it applies to spells, not punching people in the face.
Hey, I don't have anything to buff up my melee unless I turn into an Airbast, so...
Yeah, this
just looks cool, and I get accuracy.
Awesome.
All right, so, that'll be a 9 and a 1.
Oof. All right.
The 1 enhancement means I get to roll with a second dice, right?
Yep.
Sweet. Oh my god.
Either really great or really bad. What's up?
No, I rolled a 9 and a 6.
Nice. Okay. So I will tell you this. You guys have rolled your attacks. Now roll your dodges.
Gotcha.
I have... that's the one I don't have.
Same.
Lovely.
Equally matched.
Why dodge when you can just eat the damage?
Yeah, the only buff and debuff we care about is debuffing the enemy's HP down to 0.
8 plus 1 bene, that'll be another 9.
Oh yeah, that's definitely gonna... Yeah, nope, that's a 3.
Okay. So I think that, I will say this. I think with that 9 on the die, I think that Okras does kind of handily dodge this very vicious looking strike as you lash out and you tap into this magical angelic zeal. And as I think the strike impacts the space where Okras was but a fraction of a second ago, there's this kind of quick eruption of plumes of feathers from that spot, as though something of her interior was made manifest. So Okras, what does the counter look like when you strike her?
So there's a quick dodge to the side, and then a really rapid blow to the one of the nerves in the upper arm. So I think and you just it's very surgical. It's just like kind of it seems like Okras has a pretty good awareness of at least how to break things down, and there's just a pretty stunning counter blow, and I think you feel that arm almost go numb before Okras kind of skitters back and crouches a little bit and just seems to be waiting for your next attack.
I think, Gavriel, this is the first time anybody's really done like a disabling strike.
Yeah.
What is that? How does that feel?
I think like she absorbs it, and there's like a wry smirk on her face as she like rolls the shoulder to like get the pins and needles out of her hand as she's shaking it, and just sort of again.
And there is this flash in your mind, Gavriel, as you remember some of the things that Oja Kilindaris taught you with her 4 arms, 2 to defend, 2 to strike, 1 after the other. And you are going to once again try to bring your training to bear. Everybody roll one more time.
Woo!
Twice. 1 for your attack.
Twice?
1 for your attack, okay. 1 for your defense.
All right, this one's for the attack.
I'm gonna do more sortilege again. Ooh, that's not much less good. That is a 6 and a 1.
Okay.
Yeah, we rolled the exact same thing for our
that's my Oh, we rolled the exact. Okay, that's
Is that your attack roll?
That was my attack roll.
6 and a 1.
I rolled Sortilege. Nice. All right, and dodge is a 3.
8.
Okay.
Nice.
So this time you do get I think, Okras, you begin your advance. This time, Gavriel, wise to it. Gavriel, what does this look like when you anticipate the strike and then counter yourself?
I think she mirrors it. She's always been a fairly quick study when it comes to the martial arts. So she sort of sees a similar move that you're about to do and remembers how you quickly sidestepped out of her blow and does the exact same thing.
Nice.
All right, we have one last round of this, I think. I think at this point, this is going to be several exchanges.
Yeah.
But I think at this, these represent the pivotal moments in this montage of combat. So let's do one more round. You guys each have a point on each other, if this were like Cobra Kai rules. So let's go ahead and find out how the final exchange here goes.
Right.
Not bad.
That's a lot better.
Okay.
7 and a 2 for me.
So on the attack, that's a 7 and a 7.
Nice.
Okay. Next thing, in that case,
Dodge.
Let's see how you do.
Nice. That's a 9.
Okay. How do you do, Okras?
That was a 2.
2 on the dodge.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is I want you to describe for me the strike, Gavriel, after you've had I'm gonna say after this it's been a couple of minutes of exchanges at this point as you guys are kind of going back and forth. But then there's this opening that you see. What does it look like when you strike?
I think at this point we're both probably covered in a thin layer of sweat. Gav has got a couple of bruises. She is grinning. She's clearly having a great time with this. And I think she has she quickly looks down and sees that Okras' footing is a little bit overconfident, and instead of striking, just kicks out with her leg in one big side sweep and lays them out.
Nice.
Oh, wow. As I will tell you this, as you do the side sweep to lay them out, I think instinctually you kind of, I think you do the thing where it's the moment where you're yield, where you have that fist poised above Okras. But there's something, Okras, that you see, which there are these tendrils of darkness wrapping around her fist as she's bringing them up very confidently, and in your head you hear the sound of a scream, and I think that you kind of instinctually look to the box on the ground not far from you that you have left to pick up later, and you realize the scream does not come from the box. It comes from here. And there is something that you immediately are reminded of, which is when you used to spar with Everett. What do you do?
Hopper has an existential crisis thinking of all the possibilities. That's what I do. I think Okras just kind of shakes it off. But this is clearly there is half a brain being processing this right now. The rest of this is so natural and normal. And is there an ability that I could use to wait a minute? Can I do something stupid?
Ooh,
Hang on.
Stupid.
All right.
Hang on.
What you got?
Wait just a moment.
I'm afraid to ask.
I've got terrible things.
Uh-huh.
Question. Use an ability. If it says from the person that I touch, can I use that ability on myself?
Describe for me what you're trying to do. I'll see what I can do.
I take away the memory of the last 5 minutes from the person that I touch, and I in turn gain that memory.
You are going to need to roll an experimental die if you attempt to do this.
Wait, how are you getting rid of a memory that you have and then also regaining the memory?
Don't ask too many questions.
All right.
This presumes that this is my memory and presumes that
okay. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, because I don't like that. That's weird. I shouldn't. It's one thing to remember something, and it's another thing to hear something.
Mm-hmm.
And from the way that was described, that sounds like that was something that was heard in my mind, in my brains. I swear I have one. Okay, so is it just a straight up roll an experimental dice first?
Roll an experimental dice first. If the experimental die fires, I describe what happens.
Oh no, we'll don't like that. All right, that's a 5.
Okay.
So that's not a blip.
Yeah, it's not a misfire. Do me a favor, make sure you roll your magic die and let me know if you get crux.
Oh, fun.
Flux?
Yeah. Or not crux, flux.
That's a 7.
Okay. Yeah, so I will say that you can do this to yourself. What is your objective here?
I want to isolate what that was. I think this is kind of like if you had if you had a body cam, so you were there and you were experiencing it. It's like taking that out, editing out that clip, and then pulling that aside and being able to look at that.
You're more than welcome to paranormal activity this. That's fine.
Except it's my own brain.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Uh-huh.
So I think there's a weird moment where I think you just Okras kind of stands up and just holds up and just,
how hard did I hit you?
You're fine. Trust me, you didn't hit me hard enough. Just one moment, please. And does weird brain? I don't know what this looks like, Zach.
Are you doing the thing where you throw it up?
No, that's a spell that I don't have.
Okay.
This is a forte ability of that is not mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what this looks like is you just watch ooh, I know what this looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You watch if Gav is looking closely, you see what Okras has seen in the past 5 minutes replaying across the reflections on their eyes.
Ooh.
Nice. Okay.
I love that.
So I will tell you what you see. This is kind of going to be I need you to make a resistance roll as you do this.
You wanted surreal magic, baby. You got surreal magic.
I will say that the challenge of this is going to be a 5.
Okay. This is a resistance roll. All right, we'll use you. This dice has been doing great this far. That's a 0.
Oh,
Okay.
I lied.
You shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Right?
You suffer an anguish as a nightmare replays from your own mind. Basically whatever kind of memory that you have that elicits, if there is such a thing, a terror for Okras, that is what plays in front of your eyes as you realize that whatever Gavriel has managed to tap into an ability that Everett had to elicit terror and nightmares in the person that she strikes. So the thing about this is you are not sure if this is something that will eventually she will have more control over, but you recognize it. It just seemed to happen almost it seemed almost to happen like a surge of power. I think probably coming out between two Vizsla grappling and attacking each other. It's kind of almost like a wild magic surge if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah, so Okras is just kind of process this for a second. This I would say this goes by pretty fast. We're playing that at like 50 times speed, so it's like whatever the fuck that is in time. I'm not doing math. You can't make me do math. But like, like 10, 15 seconds later, there's kind of a slightly confused look in their eyes before they just make some snap judgments.
Definitely mirrored by Gav's own mild confusion, seeing the little shifting images.
So, you rode around behind Mott's eyes for how long?
I'm not really sure. Time was hard to gauge. It's been 9 months here, so I don't know if that was the same amount of time in the report or not.
I don't know exactly what this war report that all of you have talked about is. But I don't think it worked exactly the way they intended it to.
What do you mean?
Did you feel what you did?
You mean me completely trouncing you right now? Because I felt that, and that felt real good.
Yeah, well, wait until we go 100%. You're good at hitting stuff, but you're not good at hitting it hard enough. That'll come with time. Did you feel it though?
Feel?
Do you know what you did?
I didn't do anything. I wasn't even using any Vizsla power, really.
Interesting.
Why? What happened?
Little spark of an old friend.
Interesting.
Sometimes you rock around in somebody's head for long enough, bits start to rub off. I guess just hope that you didn't lose too much in that exchange.
It's good advice. I don't feel like I lost anything, but I'd like to learn more about this. You wouldn't be up for more bouts like this in the future, would you?
Well, I think everybody else plans on taking their sweet time, and I guess what is it they say? It's old roach goblins. It's something with.
Is that what they say?
With tricks. Old roach goblins. Sometimes you can teach old roach goblins new tricks.
Hey.
Pretty sure I heard that once.
I don't like that.
And on that note, we are going to fade out of that scene. And we are going to travel across the city. And I am going to change the music. Maurice, where are you in the city right now?
Maurice is in his home. He's been spending a lot of time at his typewriter, conjuring reams of fresh paper, doing the classic, look at what you just wrote, ball it up, throw it away, start over kind of thing. What he did, I think, prior to all this was he did look at that letter that Basil left him at the end of last session.
And I think that as you are looking through it, I think there are a lot of very florid, very verbose statements, and I will communicate all of those to you at a later time. But the gist of this note that you send, or that is sent to you by Basil, is that he could not wait any longer for you to emerge from wherever it was you had gone. And so the reason he gives is that something was going on, and he had not heard back from Avelia for some time. And not only had he not heard from Avelia, he also relates to you how Mac got so antsy and yet seems so much more sure of himself the more time he spent around his people, around other Vizsla, that he began kind of developing a predilection for performance and for almost kind of a wanderlust. And so in a line, I think that is very, as you hear Basil say it in your head, that was very much kind of almost dismissive, but in a good-natured way. Mac has gone off to join the circus, apparently. And so you learn this, and there is one final note from Basil, which is, if and when you do emerge, I will find you as soon as possible, and we will catch up and make up for lost time again. But if I do not find you in short order, something is wrong. And it is signed, I think in a way that is surprising to you. It is signed your son, Basil.
Maurice has this letter sitting, I think his desk is oriented in such a way that when he turns to the right, there's an upright piano, and he has that letter kind of sitting where you would put the stand music. So it's kind of always in sight. He has sent out an invitation for Ashwin to visit his home, but Maurice has not left. He's getting the equivalent of whatever Saturnine has in takeout. And he has been attending to the two canines in his care, and furiously writing, even throughout the night, attending to the dream study room, where unless something changes, I don't think Kyrrie is going to make an appearance. According to the text in the spell, I suffer 2 mental injury on consecutive nights I do this in a row.
Okay.
So I think I'm spending as long as possible before I rejoin the crew back at the Acclimation Center. So however many mental injury that is,
so
Maurice is taking it.
So I will say that you have spent 1 night, so that's or 2 nights consecutively so far, so that's 2 injuries. I will tell you this, you will suffer 2 anguish if you spend 3 nights consecutively. It's only the 2nd day. Mm-hmm. So technically you haven't suffered any injuries yet until all of you decide to rejoin. But if you want to kind of fast forward time wise, basically you can do 3 nights consecutively before it gets to the point where you are on the brink of really needing special medical attention.
That's perfect. Okay. During this time, Maurice is writing a few things. He's taking a detailed account, several in fact, from different points of view of what has happened since, the beginning of the hole in the world proper, the longest week and the war report and everything up to this point. And he's written those and bound them and has them in neat envelopes. He's also rewritten, in fact, some of the stories that he wrote in his time in the Gray, stories that he has fixated on now, knowing what they actually are, knowing that these were the ripples and the memories of the truth that he made into fiction in the Gray, that he's now recognizing all around him in and outside of the war report and in the world that was. So he's now rewriting these stories, maybe changing a name here or there to better fit what they were. And I think as up until the moment where Ashwin, if he does come by, Maurice is writing the first original piece of fiction that he's written since returning to the actuality. And oh, go ahead.
Oh, what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
This piece of fiction concerns a rogue with a heart of gold who is wronged by a crime lord that goes by the name of King Nine. And in this story, this rogue, this incredibly smart, resourceful, strong, and powerful hero kills King Nine. He's about to finish this story.
Okay. So, what I would like you to do, it's very interesting. I'm gonna pull a card, and I'm gonna see how this goes. The endless maze. It emphasizes blue and it weakens red. Its meanings are journeys, long spans of time, insanity, and inner turmoil. As within, so without. The maze that traps you slows your journey, forces you to double back, and leads you where you don't want to go. Might be a physical maze, or it might be your own indecision, self-criticism, or self-doubt. To get where we need to go or do what we need to do, we have to conquer the mazes we find ourselves in. To succeed, one must undertake a long journey. This is an ill-met card. At best, it indicates there is much to do, but even then, the process is long, likely because it is difficult, confusing, or maddening. The traveler will get lost. One will be caught within the worst labyrinth of all, one's own tumultuous mind. A journey or task takes much longer than expected. An NPC feels indecision or even starts to go mad. An enemy is filled with hesitation or confusion and does not act. An unwanted NPC does arrive. So those are for joy. For despair, the PC arrives late to dire consequences. A PC's movement takes longer than expected. An NPC ally arrives too late to help. She had a map, but it would still be a long journey, fraught with peril. So I think that what this typifies for me, because it emphasizes blue, and because you are undertaking this vast endeavor, what you are visiting upon yourself is the travail that every writer has, which is one of the most obviously just absolutely heart-stopping mazes or like tumultuous problems they present themselves with is a blank page. And so you are navigating not only your own story and your history, but you are also navigating the history of your stories, and you are trying to kind of go back into these stories. And I think that pile of crumpled up beginnings gets higher and higher. But there is some moment, I think, that as you begin telling the story of this roguish hero, where you know with absolute certainty that this character lives inside of you, and you are typing and you are trying to find out for this character what happens next. And that is when you hear a knock at the door.
Both dogs go running and barking.
Yeah.
And Maurice, cracks the knuckles, stands up, and shuffles over to the door. He looks unkempt. He's not wearing his suit. He's wearing kind of like a stained t-shirt, and it's bags under his eyes, and he opens the door. Your
own rumpled form and your kind of half-lidded eyes meet the wide open, awake, pearlescent eyes of the transformed Ashwin Kyrrie. And they look at you and say, "So, are we going out with you dressed like that? Am I?"
No. Come in.
Okay. And they walk in, and I think close the door behind them. I think they have to be reassured. I think that Duncan kind of behaves very pleasantly, but the new watchdog again kind of growls a little bit, remembering that moment when Ashwin and the other Grey Reapers arrived at the door of this apartment building.
Easy there, Duncan Prime. Easy. He's still, I think, rightfully, a bit put off by you. How are you? Thanks for coming by.
Ashwin looks at you, and they're not carrying that blunderbuss from before, that kind of magical weapon. Their Grey Reaper jacket is open to underneath. You kind of see that pale moonlight kind of reflecting silk that they typically wear. And not only that, I think that the kind of gray hat or kind of fedora that is almost de facto uniform for the Grey Reapers is off and in one hand. And Ashwin says, "Well, I'm well enough to come visit. Not busy enough, thankfully. I think that whatever work the Miller had for us has since taken a backseat to whatever it is you have. But I guess we can discuss more inside."
Yeah, I mean, you're not on duty, are you?
Well, in a way, I'm always on duty, but not right now.
Oh, come in. And Maurice kind of goes in and takes a pile of newspapers that's sitting on like a recliner and shoves them off and says, "Hey, have a seat. Can I get you something to drink?"
And I think that there is kind of a moment of hesitation, and then Ashwin's face relaxes and they say, "I'll take that cup of tea now, I suppose."
Excellent. Still take it the same way?
Yes, nothing's changed there.
Maurice kind of shouts a little bit from the kitchen, a bit of kind of small talk, and then comes back with 2 cups of tea and says, "So I hate to always be the one asking, but hands him the cup. I need something from you."
"Oh, certainly. How may I help you, Maurice?"
See these newspapers? I've read them all a couple times, gone through the records, trying to figure out what has happened in the 9 months that I've been gone. I don't feel like I'm getting the whole picture. I want to hear whatever you know from someone I can trust.
That's fair. That's refreshing. I'm happy to do that. Yes. And I'm going to turn a card to see if there's anything they particularly remember. The angel, the defender of notions, cats, clocks, and wind, meanings, judgment, safety, assistance, light, and justice. No greater representation of goodness, light, or justice exists than the winged form of an angel from on high. Left behind as part of the legacy, they attempt to aid, to teach, and to protect. However, some angels also pass judgment. Their vengeance can be terrible to behold. Their anger, something no mortal ever wishes to experience. Thus, the angel represents both the open palm of altruism and the terrible fist of retribution. The angel is the defender of notions. Its light ensures that they are kept safe. One should take this opportunity to look for an ally or at least shelter. Someone or something out there can help the person in question. The angel brings justice as it passes judgment. As long as one is not found wanting, this card turn suggests that external forces bring assistance or succor. Someone seeks shelter, an angel gets involved in the matter at hand, an NPC offers assistance to another. A stronghold keeps important people or things safe. The eyes on her outstretched wings saw far more than a mortal's eyes ever could, gazing into secret realms and guarded hearts. And in keeping with that card, they look at you and they say, what do you want to know? What would you like to start with?
Well, let's start with what's not in these papers. We both know that they're rags.
They kind of like nod and chuckle and just say, yeah, the Saturnine sound leaves a little bit to be desired. I mean, it's published out of Lower Taverswood. How accurate can it be?
And the comics are just awful.
Ugh, terrible. And I think they're have you even tried to read Zilbert the Xylat? It's terrible.
Yeah, we get it. He's big.
I demand a comic strip of this now.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think at this point I've given myself more homework. But yeah, I think at this point they say, so there's some things that have made the papers, which is that there have been a few disappearances throughout Quiet Lake and throughout other places. I can tell you with some certainty that the authorities of each of the neighborhoods, many of the Garants, I think they seem to think that all of this is related, but I think that a few people have gone missing in short order that I don't think they're related to what's happening in Quiet Lake. And they're referring to a few bodies found in Quiet Lake, but they are also kind of referring to disappearances throughout the city. And I think that with their kind of insight into more clandestine matters within Hadassah and within kind of like the Miller's purview, some of those, they are not related. They seem to be two separate items of note. They say, and then I think they look at you and they say, I've also taken the liberty of doing a little bit of catching up, reading on one deceased benefactor in the Hollows. I think someone you may be familiar with, Jaren. So Jaren was pronounced dead some time ago, or at the very least missing, with less likelihood of being alive. And so of course Udarian, his son, has taken it upon himself to begin running the Silverjack Casino. Always seemed like a good kid and wanted to stay a little bit farther away from that sort of thing, but I think whatever's kind of bitten him, he might be following in his father's footsteps. As for anything else that may have transpired, Eleganadel, still very much locked away in the Topiary district. Also, I think there have been several reclamation crews that have been trying to reclaim the area around my opera house. And for whatever reason, the growth that is native to the Topiary district has been too aggressive to allow basic reclaimers in. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?
I've been gone this whole time. How do you feel about that, by the way? Do you want it to be reclaimed?
You know, the worst thing is, the more I think about it, the more it's kind of just this celebration of somebody I used to be, but and they kind of gesture to themselves and their new kind of almost like moon rock like epidermis and their pearlescent eyes, they look at you and they say, clearly not somebody that I am anymore.
I still recognize you.
Well, that's very sweet. Actually, make me an interaction roll. I'm going to say the challenge here is level 8, depending on if you want to get something out of the interaction.
Sure, I'll spend 2 bene on that.
Okay.
It's a 7.
Okay. I think that with kind of like this mixed success, I would say this is within that threshold. I think there is this kind of like grim and earnest expression on their face, and then it kind of softens a little bit as you say that. I think that as you're kind of like interacting with them, you realize that there probably is very much a part of Ashwin that does kind of miss that part of their life.
Maurice kind of glances over and flexes his tentacle hand and says, do you think this makes me any less me?
And they look very hard at you. I don't think it makes you any less you. But I can't decide whether you're more you or just a different you since you came back.
I mean, I guess that's a question for me. I'd throw that back at you. Are you more you or just a different you?
And they think about answering the question earnestly, and then they say, well, my exfoliation treatment has changed.
Maurice almost spills his tea laughing. And he says, so is it finished? Is it under your control?
This is GM speak. You will have to remind me what you are referring to.
Oh, I'm just, it appears to Maurice that whatever is happening to Ashwin is a result of what happened in the opera house.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that in this context, the Ashwin looks at you and those pearlescent eyes, you realize how unsettling they would be in the dark, but in particular, you would realize how bright they must shine in moonlight. And they look at you and they say, when we were fighting that cyst and it was in the process of killing me, you stopped it long enough for me to beg the help of the moon. And she answered. For the first time in a long time, Maurice, she answered. And she took me home for a little while. And when I emerged, I think my neighbors found me crumpled on the street. My hand, the way it was, they immediately took me to get medical attention, and that was a hardship. That was such a trial. I can't imagine what you went through. But I think in her way, she's been making me stronger. When the moon shines on me at night, I feel better than I've ever felt, more inspired, more a part of this place, a part of this city, a part of what I'm meant to do to help the people that can't remember, to protect them and save them from those awful illusions, that the gray, the shadow, whatever you want to call it. And I think that in a strange way, I have you to thank for rekindling that bond, if that's what happened.
Well, you look great.
You're just saying that.
No, I mean, you're pretty brilliant in every sense of the word there.
And
So kind of overwhelming of it, actually.
And the moonstone is turning a little bit of gray, as if to blush.
And says, "Look, Ashwin, I didn't plan on being gone, and look, we both went through a lot. I'm glad you're dedicated to the mission. I'm glad that you've rekindled your purpose. You know, not having a connection to who you were, I mean, in a lot of ways, that's just called growth, right?"
I guess so. It's just hard because the person that you used to be, that's who you were, and yet people as a whole, they change so much. Vizsla, I don't know if you cut me if I'd still bleed. We've changed so considerably much faster. Are we really the same people we used to be? Or is that lost to us?
I think, and he reaches over and grabs a sealed letter, it's whatever story you tell yourself. For me, I find strength in connecting the dots and tying the past to the present. But for others, and he hands the letter over, maybe that's freedom.
And they consider the letter. What's this?
It might help you understand why I seem more like me than me lately. There's a lot more to the war and the gray and the Handasa. And I want you to think about it and really, that letter's not just for you. It's more of an insurance policy. If I don't come back. But if you read it, that's its own point of no return. But I want you to have it. One of them. I mean, it's not all on you. I wouldn't do that to you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And two more things. I'm still figuring out what this dog is eating. But like, if you could come by like every couple days or something. I'm gonna be leaving for I don't know how long again. I swear I'll do your laundry or something. I just
say no more. I will take care of Duncan Prime.
I'm still working on a name, really taking suggestions. I mean, you've known it's always been my Achilles heel as a writer. I'm terrible at names. Everything's Johnson, this and that. I can't.
Okay.
But seriously, one last thing. I had a student. I was this close to finishing a work in a long time. And my student is AWOL. I don't know if I'll be back, but his name is Mac. I got a line that he might be a performer somewhere. Can I just give you some information, and if you don't hear from me, maybe you'll go find Basil?
Well, I'm not sure what kind of luck I'm going to have, but yeah, I'll help. And they reach their hand out to you, that kind of craggy, moon rock encrusted hand.
And gets a tentacle hand right in the palm.
And I think that there is this kind of gentle squeeze, even against that kind of texture of the moon rock and kind of that that granularity. I think that the Vizsla, perhaps not human warmth, but Vizsla warmth is still there. Do you have anything else you want to do before you proceed with the rest of the day?
After Ashwin leaves, he finishes this story. And he thinks about that idea of like knowing what's inside of him. And I think he pushes back on that. And I think he convinces himself that no, in fact, that is the story and it is not him. And he uses his forte ability to bring fiction to life and makes that hero up to level 9. And it exists in the world somewhere. I don't know where, but I know it's real.
And with that certainty, we leave that scene. And we are going to cut to a completely different part of the city earlier that day. Kyrrie, what are you up to?
Kyrrie has determined that she wants to go back to the Vancian Campus. On the heels of her revelation about the god's tulips, she is on something of an information quest. Before leaving for the Silver Sun, she wants to amass as much information as possible about what they might face there. And she knows of no place better than the library on the Vancian Campus. And plus, there's some people there she might want to see if she's going to be away for goodness knows how long. So I think that's where she heads.
Excellent. So, you traveled to the Vancian campus of Fartown. It is still very much how you left it. I think traveling from your room and board in the Acclimation Center, it's almost disturbing to you how little has seemed to change in the time that you have been gone, almost a whole year. The students bustle back and forth, the Vances, the postulants all moving very quickly, rapidly, attending to the duties pressed upon them by Vances of second or higher degree. And I think that you make your way over to the Library of Esoteric Studies. I am going to turn a card to see if you run into anybody on your journey. Ooh. Again, the compelling voice. Its color invisible. Secrets, ravens, books, and flame. Meanings, control, domination, and persuasion. The domination or persuasion inherent in compelling voice can be used both by and against the person in question. It can be a warning to beware honeyed words or that someone you trust or interact with is actually being controlled by someone else. Alternatively, it can mean that you must use some persuasion to get what you want or need. An NPC uses influence over another to change a situation. We follow the voice. We are compelled by the words. And I think that as you are crossing the campus, you see this woman with a fairly rigid bearing. She is wearing a very conservative dress that has a bustle and a numerous number of kind of veils kind of scattered throughout. And she is barking orders at a number of what you realize are magisters that are kind of taking down her notation. And I think as you are moving, you do hear her going ahead and saying, and make sure that when next Jaro decides to bother me about the return of the Conclave of Yov, let him know that under no circumstances will we be partaking opening the conclave to people outside of the campus. Not this year, not under my watch. And you recognize that the person that is taking notation is Gilles de Pompadour.
I think Kyrrie bristles at this. I think, has she identified that this woman is Ota?
I will say this, that how intimately would you be aware of the Telmeric court?
I mean, what Kyrrie would know is probably what Yadavastra told her about, who has taken control, about what has happened with the Telmeric court in terms of oversight, the change in leadership. And then ultimately, I think there was a hint in that conversation about like closing down the Conclave of Yov, but that I think is the extent of it.
Yeah, I think you do recognize this woman. That is very much Ota Clasp. That is the new Supreme Magus, who you have managed to get this kind of rare glimpse of outside of her, the office of the Supreme Magus, traversing the Vancian Campus, ostensibly to additional business. What do you do? Do you kind of try to hang back? What is your instinct in this moment?
I think her instinct is to intervene.
Okay.
I think she will hear this about the Conclave of Yov and just kind of make herself, merge herself with the other people who are kind of standing around Ota, listening, taking down her words, etc. And I think at a certain point in the conversation or in Ota's pronouncements, Kyrrie will say, "But why? Why would we close down the Conclave of Yov, restrict knowledge from the public?"
And I think that the moment you speak up, there is a moment where Gilles just kind of freezes mid-stride, and then kind of like his eyes go wide as he kind of glances back, recognizing the voice. And Ota, without even looking back, without even breaking a stride, says, "Because of course, you silly postulant, we have no desire to share this knowledge at such an inopportune time. We are opening the campus up to any particular interloper that could mean us harm. We've already seen enough people missing." And just doesn't even like break her stride. I am assuming you are keeping pace.
Yeah, and I think Kyrrie's air at the moment is kind of like a journalist, like following a public figure who is clearly on their way to something, but like popping up with additional questions, and therefore carrying on the conversation as they walk. I think she says, "But surely the restriction of knowledge can't be the way to solve the problems that would require the Vance to close the campus in the first place."
It is not.
Tell me.
It is not restricted knowledge. It is knowledge reserved for the Vance, who will have access to it unfettered. It is an absolute logical fallacy to assume otherwise.
So, can I put it in writing that you, Ota, are in favor of restricting knowledge from the wider world and keeping it only to the Vance?
And she turns on her heel a lot more swiftly than you would think this woman with this kind of more elaborate dress and train might be able to do. And she turns and wheels around you on you and says, "And who exactly am I providing some sort of testimony for in this moment?"
An interested party. After all, don't you think that all students at the Vancian Campus should have insight into the beliefs and opinions of their leader, especially one so relatively recent?
And I think that there is a moment where the slight is felt like the prick of a needle, as she says, "Relatively recent Supreme Magus, maybe, but I have been a high magus of the Telmeric court for quite some time, decades in fact, that if you were at all diligent in your studies, you would understand that fact."
I do. I have no doubt of your tenure or the length of it, which you have just impressed, but it's my job to present the Vancian Campus with an accurate opinion. I think she has like conjured like a piece of paper and like a quill and is fully like playing the role of like campus journalist here. And if I'm to bring the general public, or at least the Vancian public, the opinions of such a noble and lauded figure, well, don't you think that I should ask some challenging questions and see if she is worthy to them?
You may make me an interaction roll. Your challenge in this case is going to be 10.
Delightful. I will add a bene to that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's a 9 plus 1 is 10, so I meet. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Okay, so as you do this, I think that there is a moment where she kind of regards you very steely, and then she looks to, I think that she realizes the scene that she is making here, and I think there is a moment where she kind of understands that this is an opportunity, in disguise maybe, but perhaps not too well disguised, or perhaps well disguised. Her mind is constantly kind of making it up. And she says, well, would that more Vances have such gumption, I suppose. Yes, you may take it on the record that, of course, Vancian knowledge should be transmitted to all Vances, and they should understand and have great deals of transparency into the workings of their order. No doubt, sincerely. However, it is also my responsibility as Supreme Magus to make sure that the Vances that have remained unmolested throughout this campus and unhindered and still present as opposed to missing, as was the unfortunate circumstances surrounding the campus that a previous Supreme Magus ran. I am working to make sure that that does not occur once again, and so any such knowledge that may prove enticing for outsiders and or interlopers that would intend harm upon the Vance in order to get access to that knowledge, why I am merely heading them off at the pass. I am removing their opportunity to visit pain upon the fine Vances of this order. You may write that down. And she turns.
Oh, I will.
And not even skipping a beat, just continues moving.
I think Kyrrie kind of half smiles at this, but in her eyes is a sort of troubled and concerned look. Certainly the further restriction of knowledge and the closing off of the Vancian campus is not a good sign for what's going on here, or what may be happening behind the scenes, which she has clocked. I think that there may be more to this than meets the eye in terms of the removal of Yadavastra and the appointment of this Ota Clem. But nonetheless, pondering these thoughts, I think she turns heel and heads towards the library.
Absolutely. So you head to the Library of Esoteric Studies, and I am going to change the music once again. So, what I think I'd like you to tell me is what exactly has changed about the Library of Esoteric Studies in the past year that you've been away. What immediately strikes you as completely different from how you left it?
I think in some respects, the library is full of life in a way that it wasn't when Kyrrie left. There are young students scattered about studying, reading. There's a whole cohort of new postulant assistant librarians who she's never met and has no idea, but they're garbed and clad in the robes of an assistant librarian, and they're bustling around and guiding people to specific tomes and pieces of text that they may require, and it feels like a system that is still going, that is still moving, and in fact one that's moving it at a more rapacious pace than she even remembers it when she last left. She thinks very much of the library as this kind of silent place for her, like a meditation, a place for her to kind of come into herself and to be one with herself and to understand and contemplate in true Stoic fashion what is happening in the world around her. And this place is a flurry of activity. It is not at all the way that she remembers, except as she looks at the cavernous ceilings and the piles of books, not just sitting silent, but being shuffled from hand to hand, the stacks creaking under the weight of these volumes piled high. It's as if this clip reel runs in Kyrrie's mind, echoes out of time collapsing to a single moment where she sees flashes of herself mirrored and dotted around the room, ghostly Kyrries dashing down the halls, laughing as she pulls a volume from a tall stack like a Jenga tower, which then teeters and tumbles to the ground, determinedly arguing with an imperious magister, one hand on a dusty tome with an anatomically accurate heart in place of a lock, authoritative as she practices a spell of her own design late at night for an audience of books, their covers clapping when she finally manages the desired effect. I think something warm kindles in her chest at this, and she feels the word home.
And I think that warmth, I think, is very much, I think that is, starting to sit in your chest, and you just see a figure not some distance away. You hear a familiar voice just say, well, not there, please. Just wait a moment. I'll attend to that stack, just a moment. And you see, looking very put upon, Ardenno Bookridge, the magister who is completely composed of books. Whatever kind of visit to the Changeries he had basically has transformed his entire body into one of books. His face, a open fold of pages open to a fairly kind of open passage. The ink making up, I think, the kind of the expression, and it changes to one of exasperation. And there are several ink lines under his eyes that you had not previously seen when last you were in the Library of Esoteric Studies. And not only that, as you're kind of taking him in, you feel a grasping hand on your shoulder as you hear Giles's voice speak up and say, "What are you doing here? You've been gone forever. We thought you were gone, period."
She turns on heel. I had matters to attend to, Giles. That's none of your business, but I'm back. I don't know why you're so concerned.
And I think there's a moment where he just kind of is a little bit taken aback, and you may make me an interaction roll as you are considering this. Your challenge is going to be 6.
Okay. That's a 0.
Okay. There is this kind of inscrutable look and expression on Giles's face that changes as you say this. There's kind of like this almost kind of look of incredulity, which changes somewhat into this inscrutable expression. And he says, you're right. I don't care, but so much has happened here, and it's for posterity. It's for understanding what's going on. But I suppose if all is well, then I will take my leave of you.
Now hang on a moment, and I think she makes to grab Giles's sleeve. Was that you I saw next to Ota Clem, dutifully taking notes?
Ota Clasp, I will have you know.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sure she'd be very concerned to make sure everyone has her name right. I should correct that in the record.
Well, yes, I am one of the many magisters that essentially attends to her needs as they pertain to scholarship and kind of the administration of the campus. And that is something that shocks the heck out of you first, which is that rank of Magister. That is not what Giles used to be. Giles was a postulant, and you lapped him at one point.
I think, yeah, she hears that and tenses. Well, things certainly have changed around here. Belated congratulations are owed, it sounds like.
Be that as it may, yes, I'd like to understand what's going on. What brings you back to the campus? Why are you here?
Am I not allowed to visit my old haunts? Trod in my old paces? I am a librarian after all. You didn't think that the strangest place that you could find me would be a library.
And I think that there is a moment where he just kind of clams up because he doesn't realize that he has a quick or witty rejoinder to that. And he says, I suppose that all is well and in order then. Magister Bookridge. And I think that as you are having this moment of kind of confrontation, you did not hear Ardenno walking, shuffling up and saying, you hear him, I think kind of his eyes are focused on you, Ardenno's, and then he looks at Giles and he says, yes, Magister de Pompadour, thank you very much. If I might have good Madame von Hollingsworth for a moment. At which point Giles nods, says, she's all yours, and leaves. And Ardenno, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Now, Ardenno just says, Kyrrie, where have you been?
I think she just hugs Ardenno.
And I think there's that kind of awkward Vancian moment where an emotion is about to be repressed, and then you just feel, you smell the venom, the vellum envelop your nostrils as two gentle paper hands kind of take a reassuring place on your shoulders.
Is there somewhere we could go, Ardenno? I want to tell you everything, but there are so many librarians, so many people. So much has happened.
The Aether carols. Yes. Follow me. And he begins kind of leading you into a more secluded research section, namely one that uses Aether taps. Basically these kind of electronic seemingly devices that tap into the Aether and the noosphere to deliver information for research subjects. And he kind of closes this glass paned door behind him and says, yes. And I think there's a moment where he's searching his mind for some way to kind of like deaden the noise and kind of doesn't come up with anything, and then just says, just tell me what's going on, in a very hushed whisper.
Oh, Ardenno, the war report, when you came to get me that day, that's what it was. The war report, they found it. And I went into it.
You went into a factual report about the war.
Oh, I'll never see a document like it again. It was incredible.
Oh, tell me more. And I think that I think at this point he just sits very kind of like, I think he thinks to make tea or seems a little distracted, and then just says, no, this is too important, sits down and looks rapt at you with those ink eyes.
Oh, there's so much to tell you. I saw so very much, but do you know what happened to it after I entered the document? We should try to find the remnants, if there are any, for posterity, for the historical record, and then Kyrrie has a moment where she remembers herself, having fallen so easily into old patterns. She stops short and her face darkens. Never mind. The construct collapsed. It's not that important. How are you? I've heard about the murders, about Alinea. I spoke to Yadavastra to hear their story, but it sounds like they were pressured into stepping down. Is that true? Surely there's more to the story.
Well, it happened piecemeal. There were several disappearances of postulants, yes. Alinea was one of the higher ranking members to disappear, and in all honesty, Alinea had been Yadavastra's right hand. She disappeared, and then Yadavastra found herself at the behest of the council, the Telmeric court. They kept on asking for more in the way of protections and defenses, and as you well know, the defenses of the Vancian Campus are fairly sound. I don't know how these people went missing, but so many of them live on the campus, but some of them live in Fartown, and even the ones on the campus, I think they just took a wrong turn one day and then no one saw them. There were many following leads. We contacted the Garant. He promised and vowed to work on this to ameliorate the problem, and yet no assistance seemed to come. We were looking even for help and assistance from the Thaw, as disgusting as that is. But people just kept disappearing, and at first, Ota's suggestions for new leadership were not taken seriously. They were more a mere suggestion. And then, as time went on, those suggestions grew to bend more ears. Until finally, I think the deciding result was Jauro. Jauro, along with the other majority of the Telmeric Council court members, issued a vote of no confidence.
Is Jauro close with this Ota? This new leader?
Not in the slightest. I don't imagine too many people are, but no one could refute her logic.
That's troubling. The last time that I heard about disappearances on the Vancian campus was, well, it was during the war, and it was you, actually.
Come again? What do you mean? What do you mean I went missing?
You went missing. You were very young then, and we had to go and find you.
You and who had to go find me?
Well, it wasn't me, per se. It was Allegra and, well, the rest of the Cataract. This doesn't make any sense to you.
You're right, it doesn't.
Oh, that's right. I meant to ask. Where's your wife? I didn't know you were married. She was there too.
What do you mean, my wife? As far as I know, I've been a bachelor lifelong. What do you mean, my wife? And he's beginning to get visibly agitated. Pages are beginning to flip.
You don't remember her?
Of course I don't. Who would I remember?
Ardenno.
Kyrrie von Hollingsworth, who would I remember? Tell me this instant. And you notice that there is he is oblivious to it. A tear of ink is beginning to trickle down his page.
Ardenno? Do you still wear that wicked key?
Well, yes, of course.
Take it out.
Why? And he opens the key, opens the book at the center of his chest, reaches in, and pulls out that snowflake wicked key, and he is gripping it incredibly tightly. If pages could white knuckle, they would.
I think Kyrrie looks at Ardenno holding this artifact of his past, and looks him straight in the eye. Her name was Arwen.
You hear the crumpling of pages as the knuckles grip. What do you mean, Arwen? I've never heard that name before.
You have, and you did. You proposed to her.
I don't know what you're talking about. And another tear. It doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't know anybody named Arwen. He is beginning to shout in the study, in this carol. What do you do?
Look, Ardenno, I know this is a lot. Maybe I shouldn't have told you like this. I'm sorry, I didn't know. It was just a question. Oh, Ardenno, I'm so sorry.
It's cruel to play tricks on an old man like this.
No, it's not a trick. I promise. It's just something you forgot.
What have I forgotten? What have I forgotten?
I think Kyrrie makes to take his hand, the one holding the wicked key.
Okay. And he's just sitting there.
Her name was Arwen, and she was tall, and she had long brown hair and sharp blue eyes, and she had a million questions and the sharpest wit, and you loved her. And she loved you because she said yes when you proposed. I don't know what's happened. I don't know why this information would have been taken from you. I don't know why this wouldn't still be something you have, but you gave her that key when you asked for her hand. And you have to know somewhere deep down that that's the reason you carry it.
I am going to turn a card. The incriminating skull. Emphasizing gold, weakening silver. Secrets, ravens, books, and flame. Disaster, discovery, evidence, connections, friends, and family. The skull is uncovered, revealing a long-buried wrong. It is evidence of a crime. However, the skull was once a person, and that person's family and friends miss them. They wonder what happened to them, and discovering the remains of the victim actually brings them some comfort and closure on the situation. The evidence that is uncovered might be the result of a long investigation, or it might be entirely accidental and inadvertent. It might be something that people have long searched for, or the remains of someone or something that no one even knew was missing. Last, it might be something that someone was trying to actively conceal, or it might just be the remains of some past event covered up only by time. The incriminating skull tells us that there is a deeper, darker meaning to the matter at hand. It presages failure, particularly being caught at wrongdoing. However, if the context is right, it might also simply indicate that a friend or relative, particularly one that has long been estranged, is involved in some way. Something that should have remained hidden becomes evident. A friendly NPC, particularly one with a bond to the PC, makes an appearance or something happens that suggests a connection with them. The PC makes a new friend or reconnects with an old one for joy. Someone discovers something the PC did in the past that they would have preferred remain secret. Despair. The Raven remembers your sins.
Hey, Monty Cook. Hey, I just want to talk.
Just a question. That card was like written for this scene. How did that temporal magic work? How did you?
I'm scared.
Okay.
I'm scared. That's unnerving.
I mean, the fact that it is so specific as to say an NPC with whom the PC has a bond, like, that's very scary.
What the fuck?
So
What the fuck? What the fuck?
my question is, what is your intention, Kyrrie?
I think she did not expect this. She did not realize he didn't remember. And now that she knows a resolve, similar to the resolve that flared in Kyrrie's eyes when she was kneeling in front of the silver tree, flares again, just a little bit brighter. Fires building and coagulating.
I am going to, just so everybody can see, I'm going to change to the path so you can see I did not like fabricate this. The incriminating skull's the very last card drawn. Okay, so that fire lights inside you. Is there something that you want from Ardenno now?
Ardenno, I am going to put this right. I don't know how, but I think that wicked key is the only tangible proof, connection there is left to that reality from you. Would you loan it to me so that I can find her for you?
I think there is a moment of trepidation as those ink eyes carefully regard the snowflake in his hands. And then he slowly uncurls his fist and offers it to you.
And I think she takes it, but doing so by placing her hand like this on his hand and pushing strength and calm and resolve back into his palm. As their palms meet, she removes the wicked key.
Okay. So what I am going to tell you is I need you to, I want you to roll as though you have cast a spell. I'm going to say that because the max level that you can add to a spell is 4 for beta, because you cannot cast gamma spells yet.
Right.
I need you to roll with 2 dice from 4. You may spend, remember, because you are Vance, you have efficient spell casting, so its level starts at 5.
Okay.
And I need you to tell me what you get. You may spend a bene as normal, or you may, yeah, I think you can spend a bene.
Okay, I will be spending that bene.
Okay.
And that's 6s on both.
Okay. So that's 11 total. So as you...
13, because it's 6 and 6, right?
No, it's if it's...
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Yeah. So as you will the magic into his hand, there is a sinking feeling as you realize it is just not enough. And as you take the key, a light in those ink eyes goes out, as if something was taken and forgotten. And we are going to break there. Kyrrie, as soon as you take that key, you have this feeling and you recognize what has just happened as you try to pour the magic into Ardenno's palm, which is that it just wasn't enough. As there is a moment where when you take this wicked key in the shape of a snowflake from Ardenno, the light leaves his eyes on the page. And when I say a light, I mean like a glint. And you recognize what happened, which is that essentially this was like that moment when you concluded the robbery, or you were in the middle of the robbery with Gavriel, when you seized the reflection of that countess in the mirror. And there was this moment of kind of like the light of this kind of consciousness leaving her eyes. You realize that what you have taken from Ardenno in this moment, even with your best intentions, is a piece of his soul. And you now have in your possession the wicked key that he has safeguarded since being a postulant in the war. And there is this moment of confusion on his face, and he begins wiping at these kind of streams of ink tears off of his pages, and he says, "Oh, don't know what came over me there. Where were we?"
Kyrrie looks immeasurably sad, but her face composes quickly. "You were just telling me about the new group of postulants, the new assistant librarians that you've hired while I was away. You remember?"
And he, I think, looks at you and says, Oh yes. If I'm being honest, none of them can hold a candle to you." And he continues to talk, small talk, just completely everything, all of that leaves his consciousness. And when you leave the library with the key in hand, there is this moment where you have no idea what you will need to do for Ardenno, but I mean, what kind of crosses your mind as you speed away from this scene?
I think part of going back to the library, and as well as, I think one of the things she does before she leaves is she also grabs some material about God's tulips, whatever little bit there may be in the Vance's collection. I think she brings some of that with her. But while she does that, I think she also collects the items that she left behind in the library right before going into the war report. And these items are Alyaska's cursed dagger, the gun that Gav gave her mirrored sortier, the circlet that allows the asking of one question, and also the locket that contains the reflection of the Viscountess Aldringham of the House of Seven Stars. And Kyrrie looks down at these objects that she has somehow begun to collect and has a moment where she realizes that two of them are pieces of Vizsla. Not just artifacts or things belonging to Vizsla, but pieces of them. And it strikes her that she, in each case, has done the taking, regardless of the ultimate need or intention of doing that taking. She has taken pieces of people's souls.
As you are making your way out of the library, I need you to make me a perception roll.
Sure. No reason to be scared about that at all. That's a 7.
As you are making your way out, you catch a flicker of movement in the corner of your eye. A kind of a sheen, a bit of bright light that catches it, and you realize it is the light bouncing off of a mirror that is on the wall of the corridor that exits out of the library. And the reflection that greets you is your reflection, but it seems to smile half sadly at you.
I think Kyrrie gets a deep, sudden feeling gazing at her reflection in this mirror that is both her and not her. And I think that sadness takes root. And she has a feeling that she has passed some sort of threshold. and has lost something in doing so. But for the life of her, she couldn't say what.
And you leave the mirror behind. I think that all told, this represents the end of the second day of this week that you guys have all been kind of working on or working towards this journey. So I would like to ask all of you, and you can answer in time. It sounds like we have concluded our business in Saturnine for the time being. How do you spend the rest of the 5 days leading up to this journey? We'll start in player introduction order. Gavriel, how do you spend the time?
Yeah, I think Gav is spending most of that time with Okras pretty much. I don't think that they've stayed predominantly just locked away in the ruined expanse. I think that I think it's actually even possible that Gav and Okras may have gone to one of those underground fight clubs. How do you feel about that? Oh yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I will tell you this: if you went to the Bent House to train, Oja would have greeted you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, charged you for the express purpose of like kind of renting out like a room in the gym and training facilities. Oja would offer instruction if you guys wanted it for a small fee, but basically this 4-armed warrior who is the proprietress of that of the Bent House will basically look to all of you and just be like, I think at this point, ooh, I always love when you bring a tough one into the place. And yeah, Oja will give you guys use of the facilities.
Sweet.
As for, I will tell you this, if you want to partake in underground fighting at the cadavers dotted throughout the cadaver bars dotted throughout the undersling, you can roll and I can tell you just how many you get through, because I don't think there's any kind of question who the winner is in a lot of these undercard matches. So y'all give me a couple. I'm gonna give me a couple rolls. I think this is, or I can just turn a card to see how many.
Let's roll.
Cards. Oh, okay.
What? Or porque no los dos?
Okay, I will turn a card, and what we'll say is however many matches you guys get into. This can get pretty high, so we'll see. I'll maybe divide it by something. All right. Oh, I turned a card. Oh shit! Oh damn. Okay. Oh no.
Don't start it like fucking that.
No.
Don't start it like that.
No, it's just the software is behaving weird.
Oh.
You're fine. You are fine.
It's the witchcraft messing with the technology.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
So
when you use actual witchcraft, Monty Cook.
So unfortunately, the Sooth deck is borked for the time being.
Oh dear.
So let's go ahead and just have you guys roll dice.
All right, that's fair.
What, pray tell?
How many?
Oh, storyteller.
Oh, hey. Oh, the first one up is Weeping Priest, it turns out. It just came back. Betrayal, Weakness, Turnabout, Disillusion. But the thing I was like mostly concerned for was the number. The number is 5.
Oh, okay.
So you had 5 undercard bouts over the course of the next 5 days. I'm going to say 2, a couple were on the same day. So how do you guys, I'm going to say you have 5 undercard bouts. What you roll here will determine how much you earn.
Ooh.
Can we add anything to that?
You may certainly spend Bene.
If one, say, happened to have a thing that was related to forte abilities, would one be able to spend? No. Okay, no divine ability. What? I'm not allowed to spend 13 Bene?
No, you are not. Not in this case. Give me that straightforward roll.
Not worth it.
You freaking cheats over here. What you got?
So how many are we rolling? 5 of these?
No, just 1 roll all told.
Oh,
1 roll all told.
Jesus
Okay.
Christ.
And we can add anything?
Yeah, just add a Bene, or you can
Add
roll
a
twice
Bene.
if you like. With a sword.
I'll roll twice.
Yeehaw.
Oh, that's gone forever.
An
Stand by.
8.
All right.
That's a 9 and a 3.
Mine rolled off the desk too.
All right. So
the dice that gave me flux earlier has redeemed itself with a 9.
Awesome. Okay. So with your 8 and with your 9, each of you earn 80 and 90 crystal orbs respectively. At the end of which, Bode will say, and I think what this kind of like, how this kind of transpires is you guys fight other Vizsla, who are not necessarily very promising contenders. They're kind of like amateurs. You guys get through your card bouts pretty quickly, at which point Bode, the proprietor of Cadavers and bartender, will say, "So, you guys ready for a major bout?"
I mean, I wouldn't say no.
I can line it up. When are you free?
Well, we're expected somewhere else temporarily, but time is she has no idea how much time it's going to be between going to the Silver Sun and coming back. That's impossible. How do you quantify that? What's the
time's the flat circle?
What's the time difference between the Silver Sun and Indigo?
You'll find that out, I guess. But
fantastic.
Let's set our clocks.
Add 5 and carry the 3, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, that.
What is the time? What is time to the beginning of all things? Anyhow,
pretty sure it's straight up Celsius to Fahrenheit.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, what was it? I was gonna say Kelvin, but okay. So anyhow, Bode says, "Look, we all got things we got to do. I understand, but when you come back, I have a title match for you, your compatriot here. Maybe even something like a little bit of free for all if you think you got anybody else what has what it takes."
I'll keep that in mind.
I was gonna say, if you have anybody as tough as this customer, and he points at you, Okras, I got plenty of matches what need fighting.
Okras just gives Gav a side eye and just kind of gives a tiny little nod.
All right. Well, safe journeys then. Or unsafe if you got a little bit of touch of the undersling in you.
It's so obvious that Gav has been using this as a front to cover for the nerves of this imminent journey to the Silver Sun. Just like it's so much easier to punch people than it is to work out the idea of what she's going to see when they get to this new sun. I don't think like she's ready for it, but she knows that she has to do it. And yeah, I mean, like her hands are still like just a little tremor is going on in them, like when things get quiet and when she thinks people aren't maybe paying attention. And I think within that, she's constantly throughout those last few days has been trying to get a hold of Jakob in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's been very successful in this.
So I have turned a second card already, and hopefully it will manifest. This one is the Watcher, which is the Sovereign of mysteries, rats, mirrors, and stones, meanings, parental figure, sight, alertness, observation, and knowledge. The wisdom that comes from the time to observe and contemplate before acting cannot be overstated. The Watcher watches. He observes from afar, assessing and contemplating. A parent becomes a prominent figure. A watch person catches a criminal in the act. Something amazing is seen. Secret knowledge is the key to a significant problem or challenge. The PC noticed something vital. The PC's area of expertise turns out to be extremely helpful in a given situation. Someone imparts crucial information to the PC. So, I will go ahead and, yeah, so you're raising your finger. What's going on?
No, nothing. Go ahead.
So I will tell you this, is you have pulled the Sovereign, which means that essentially that, secret information is key here. So you basically roll, like, its number is 9. If you roll anything here, you can add 2 to the roll. If there is a way that you would like to try to establish contact, you will have 2 to that roll. What do you have in mind here?
It's not my sovereign, though.
It isn't, but it still grants 2 to everybody.
Oh my god. Well, interaction feels like it would be the most relevant, which I have all of 1 bene in.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and add a 1 and then just roll, or
Okay.
you can use sortilege if you'd like to roll twice. I will say, I will tell you this, you should probably don't use the bene, use sortilege, because you are basically trying to make a magic communication, and sortilege makes that magical.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to use the interaction bene because I don't think this should be easy.
Okay.
I don't think that Gav is used to calling on any of the entities that live in her halo, for lack of a better word. Especially, and she's especially not used to being able to talk to Jakob. I think Ithariel is sort of an outlier in that she will willingly talk to Gav, and Gav can sort of communicate as if it's another entity. But this one is sort of like a passenger that is unwillingly riding along.
Okay.
So I'm not going to use the sortilege because I feel like the odds of it actually working too easily, I want her to earn it.
Okay. Go ahead and give me that roll then.
Probably not. So I get the +2 from the sovereign. 7 with the interaction bene.
Okay. On a 7, let me go ahead and consult something right quick. I think you reach into the angels inside you. And when you get, what you get is a response from clearly an angelic figure, but you recognize that it is not Ithariel. And instead, the voice kind of resounds and says,
Gavriel Kazan, how may I assist you this fine day?
Who is this?
My name is Utarial.
I don't think we've had the pleasure.
We have not. Ithariel is busy at this point in time, attending to matters within.
Busy? Where could she go?
I promise you, defenses within your body, within your soul, are an active measure.
So, what angel are you then?
I am but a foot soldier, one of Queen Fragilva's many disciples.
Okay. I was trying to talk to Jakob.
Ah, the interloper.
Well, more like family, I think, but sure. Whatever works for you. Whatever is going to get me in contact with him faster.
He is contained. Ithariel works even now to make sure that his imprisonment is, shall we say, secure.
Well, do we need to imprison him?
Most assuredly, yes.
I'd like to fix him.
Be that as it may, until you have the means to do so, the defense of your soul is most assuredly required.
Fair enough. I think there's lots of things that I'm capable of doing, but meddling in the affairs of the angels is not one that I care to even wrap my head around. I take it we'll be speaking later. How many of you are there?
and I think there is a moment where Utarial is kind of, I think there is a moment of kind of contemplation.
By my count, 77 entities now reside inside your soul.
77. Okay.
Yes, 77 glorious entities reside within your soul.
Gav is having this conversation mentally. It's not out loud, and I think there's just quite a face journey that's going on where she just gets that, and it's just, all right. Well, we're going to the Silver Sun. Is there any way I could just, go geshoin?
You are voyaging to the Silver Sun, to our home?
Yes. Will this help you leave? Will you not reside within? This body is not that big.
Only an edict from Queen Fergalva ourselves may require us to leave. No.
Wait, I don't know. Why do you need an edict from a queen I've never met?
And
Athariel has dictated as such, and we obey the needs of the choir and its leader.
Oh, Athariel and I are going to have words. The minute she is not busy doing whatever it is rooting around in the base of my soul, you tell her that she needs to talk to me.
I will most assuredly do this.
All right. The connection is now breaking up. I'm hanging up. I'm leaving this call.
Good tidings. Farewell.
My soul's going through a tunnel.
Utariel
That's decidedly the most Jewish thing I've done on this show.
Excellent. Well done. Yes, you have this moment where an overzealous Utariel manages to relay to you the status of not only Jakob, but also Athariel.
Sorry, I can't hear your divine commandments. We're going through a tunnel.
Take these 15.
These
10 commandments.
Unbelievable.
All right. So I believe, unless you have anything else you'd like to attend to, does that also cover Okras?
Not what, like cell phone coverage?
Yeah, like exactly like cell phone coverage. How many bars do you get over the course of the next 5 days?
Like, hopefully none. That could be unhealthy.
Yeah, I mean, Okras is actually, we're gonna move in order. Pardon me. So, Maurice, is there anything else that you get up to in these next 5 days?
No, I think he has just been busy writing all those different things. I think he's got those envelopes. The one he gave to Ashwin is very like straightforward, like open in case of emergency kind of thing. But he sends out some other envelopes and makes sure that they get to their destinations. He sends out to the author of the Basil Factotum series.
Mm-hmm.
He sends like the first part of a serialized story with the cover story that he is a aspiring writer who like would never get famous, but here's this story, could you just please use the story? I'll ghostwrite for you. I just really want the story to get out there. And it's a story where the antagonists just have exactly the plot of the Vespertine, stealing a nugget of truth out of reality and no one can remember. Has put this story out there, has managed to find a way to, the equivalent of posting on a message board for the Church of Midnight. Like, hey, here's a new conspiracy theory. The reason why you're not fitting into the actuality is, and giving a very suspiciously similar reason, maybe getting a couple details wrong of just what has happened, what is the hole in the world, but like basically saying like, this has been designed this way. And maybe throwing a little bit of shade at like the Deathless Triumvirate.
So let me make sure I'm very clear here. You are publishing this.
I'm sending stuff for other people to publish.
Okay. I need you to, you have,
I'm using all my writing skill to make it like tweaking enough.
You have writing
as
yeah, you have writing as a narrative skill, right?
Yeah.
Roll, add your 2. You can spend a bene. I'm going to say this is interaction. You can use expansive endeavor, whatever you want. And roll.
Could I put sortilege in this shit to like,
yeah, you may
obfuscate it in a certain way.
You may totally try to obfuscate it. Like
my intent in all this is to like really plant the seeds of something, like as if like priming the pump for the truth to be believed, as well as really panic the Vespertine.
You see this face? You're gonna plant something.
Yeah. So
roll to see how well you plan it.
So we'll do +2 for the fiction writing, +2 for an interaction, and I'm gonna do +2 for sortilege since I took the advanced sortilege. So we're rolling at a +6.
Okay.
That is a 15.
Okay. Oh yeah. Your ingenuity, your very interesting idea is very well received by the publishing house. It will take some time for you to get their response. But if you give them a means of addressing you throughout the actuality somehow, they will make sure that you get your message wherever you go.
So this particular story, it's hey, like I'm gonna keep sending this to you. You know, here's episode 1 and episode 2. Recommend you release episode 2, you know, in like 2 weeks, and then I'll have some more. I'll leave you some more. I'll keep sending these. All I want is this story to get out. I don't care. I don't want the recognition. I just want to send this story. If you please publish it, you'll just keep getting it. So there's that. That's the.
Are you listing the author as anonymous?
Yes. Oh yes.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
What's the next thing you do?
So there's the Church of Midnight conspiracy theory, like, you know, QAnon style. Here, you know, the reason people are actively fighting against you remembering, and they're still here. It's not just that we want, like, there are forces out basically what Gav believes straight up.
They're turning the roach goblins gay.
They're turning they're turning the roach goblins gay with the water.
Yes, legitimize.
No, sorry, they're turning the roach goblins straight.
God,
right, exactly.
What does an Alex Jones type in Invisible Sun even sound like? What was it? The letter Q is
it's the screaming box.
Yeah, the letter Q is a fabrication. It doesn't exist.
But you're not on the side of craziness.
Yeah.
You're trying to antagonize the right people. Isn't that the wrong image we want to send?
That is fair.
No. This is the Church of Midnight.
Yeah,
like they are already effective in reaching certain people. Let's just throw another idea out there.
Okay.
The second
has implications in this world.
All right.
The second is so that's 2 things. So like these are the versions. This is what Maurice has been night and day, taking the mental anguish, writing through the night to work on. The third thing he did was he did a quick and shoddy recreation of the sci-fi series he wrote in the Gray called The Quasar Queen. And he submitted that to the Museum of the Lie as a museum piece.
Okay.
And the Quasar Queen also has a nugget of this story in there. I'm going to say it's the people existing out of time and being brought together.
Okay.
Finally using my forte.
Lies?
Yeah. No, I Zach can attest. Zach can attest of like when I was like, wait a minute. So if I can bring fiction to life, but I write the truth, which has been made fiction. All right. But that's not what we're doing now.
It's
all right.
It's layers. It's layers and layers. It's like a Shrek or an onion. Anyway.
So those are the 3 things. Those are the 3 versions. The sealed envelopes. Those are the things that he maintained.
Cool. Okay. You are now our resident Rorschach in this reality. All right. Anyhow, Okras, what do you get up to?
Well, Okras, uncharacteristically, I spent way back, this has been a hot minute, I spent my single interaction Bene and then rolled a fucking 9 because this dice is on fire. And Okras uncharacteristically recognizes that Gav is stressed the fuck out and is desperately looking for literally anything else. So after fighting through a series of these fight pits, but having this extended period of downtime, Okras has offered to, in kind of seeing a flash, a momentary glimmer of one of the few Vizsla they have ever called friends, that of Mott, or I don't think they ever told Mott that they considered them a friend. That would be very touchy feely, but has decided to encourage this line of discovery, and if nothing else, I think they see that Gav is likely to bring the end to a great deal of things. And that seems to be where her path is headed. And they are going to offer to train Gavriel in some of the secrets of the truth of things. That everything has a beginning, and that beginning means that it is weak at that point. That you do not start from the shell, you start from the heart, you cut at the roots, and that everything, no matter how impenetrable it seems, can be destroyed. And I think they're going to try to train Gavriel in the secrets of lethal lore over a period of time.
Cool. So let's mark that down. Let's figure out that clock later. I'm going to say with a 10, it's going to be pretty high to start, so it may complete fairly quickly. Finally, unless there's anything else. Cool. Okay, Kyrrie, how do you spend the rest of your week?
So Kyrrie does 3 things. First, she sends the notes she took of Oda's position on Vancian knowledge and its restrictions to the journalist that we met that one time in Lower Taverswood, whose name I forget, but we did get her business card. I remember that, so I can. Anyway, she's going to do that. Secondly, she's going to send Avelia a note about Alinea and ask her to covertly make some inquiries. She has gone to great lengths to try to make the communication covert and direct to Avelia, and not through King 9 in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And the third thing she does is she will visit Maurice in Dream Study before it grievously injures him.
Okay, so one thing I will do then, how are you getting the message to Avelia?
I think what she will do is send a book to King 9's library through the open access exchange program that she established as curator of that library. And she will direct it to Avelia's attention by way of a hold placed on that book, a hold on the book in King 9's collection, such that the mechanisms within the library that she designed will deliver that book directly to Avelia. And King 9, perhaps not being so directly concerned with his library as with other aspects of his life, need not be the wiser that this is anything abnormal.
Okay. I need to turn a card. The tyrannical clock. Oppression, time, countdown, schedule, and repetition. We live and die quite literally by time. It rules our actions, for we have no actions without it. We struggle to accomplish what we must by a certain time, or we face grim consequences. We eat, sleep, and even breathe, measured by the movements of the clock. It is our master, it is our enemy. The pressure of time affects one's goals. Not only must one succeed, it must be done by a certain cutoff time. The tyrannical clock suggests some extraneous oppressive force that compels us with threat of pain or even death. The compulsion is to keep moving and to do so on a schedule. It might involve repetition or simply a deadline, depending on the circumstances. This card turn isn't automatically negative. One can still succeed. The requirements become harsher and the challenge is greater. Something, good or ill, approaches and everyone knows it. A repetitious action figures prominently into important events. It is or soon will be a holiday or day of celebration. A young person with great potential comes of age. A prominent elderly person dies. By the ticking of the clock, by the breaking of your bones, by the shrieking of the flock, the tyrant revels in the moans. Kyrrie, when you send that book, something tickles at the back of your mind, like you have set something into motion. And that's where we'll leave that.
It's ominous.
Yeah. You have a bad feeling when you send the book. What else do you do?
Just visit Maurice in Dream Study.
Okay. Do we want to have that moment?
We can briefly, if you want, Bill.
Yeah. Let's do that.
I think, given Maurice's prodigious output, he actually doesn't even hear you, notice you come in.
I think she kind of watches you for a moment, just furiously at work. And there's like a flash of a smile on her face. But then she takes her post at her desk and she lays all of these objects that she's recollected out in front of her. Not that they are really there with her, but they're holographic interpretations in her dream. And she begins studying them, and she begins working on her twin problems, the problem of the God's Tulip and the problem of Arwen.
I'll say at some point you make a noise as you're putting these things out on the desk, and Maurice notices you and he says, "Oh, wow, I was beginning to think I wouldn't see it all."
Well, you told me that it would be here, and I know what would happen if I didn't come.
Yeah, that's true. You good?
I'm good. I was at the library, my library, on the Vancian Campus, with Ardenno and the vast continent of our entire body of knowledge, and I almost didn't leave. It's been a really long time since I was in an active research library.
Must have felt nice.
But it didn't, in a way. Being there felt external to me, as it hasn't ever been before, like a stage on which I've always been a performer. I never knew there was an audience, except now I'm in the audience, and there's some sort of barrier, some sort of wall between me and what's happening there. Like I've been recast, and my place in the world, in that world, doesn't belong to me anymore.
I'm sorry to hear that. You loved that.
I know.
But looks like you've latched onto something else. What are these? He points at the desk.
Just a few projects. Things I need to do. Because I'm curious, and because they're important.
And Maurice kind of kicks back, puts his feet up on his desk, finally taken away from his task, and says, why don't you tell me about him? And I think that's where I would fade away.
Cool. So, in short order, I will tell you how the rest of this transpires. Kieran gives all of you tickets to a sun ship, which is one of the means by which all of you may pass to the Silver Sun. And the way he kind of poses this to you is, if you were to take any other means, it would mean that you would have to confront multiple guardians along the path, multiple sun wardens. This is the most direct path so long as you do not leave until you arrive at the Silver Sun. Okay. And
we super pinky promise that none of us will do anything stupid on the ship. Absolutely 100%.
Absolutely 100%.
And the fact that you're saying that out loud makes me know I can trust you.
Exactly.
So all of you meet at the docks of the sun ships, which are basically a fantastic kind of dock within the district of Satyrine, I believe, which is called the Fade, because it is sitting on the shore of the abstraction, the sea that kind of envelops the coastline of Satyrine. And all of you are kind of sitting trepidatiously, waiting for this opportunity to move into this next part of your stage. All of you meeting together kind of cautiously, all of you allies by circumstance, allies by necessity, allies through friendship, all manner of variety, all of these things that have been going on this week, all of you uneasily meet back together. And you see, arriving at this dock, there are probably several dozen other travelers waiting. And out of the clouds above Satyrine, it emerges. A massive ship. At least you think it is a ship. It has more in common with a whale, as it seems to undulate like a living creature as it moves. And as it moves, you hear it humming to itself through its massive human-like face, basically adorning the mast of this gigantic organo-artificial ship. Its eyes, massive in size, easily spanning the length of several heights of Vizsla, of human people, kind of watching all of you, kind of, and then flicking its eyes, flicking back to the path before it lands at the dock for all of you to make your kind of arrivals and kind of to board. In addition to that, as it hums this deep sonorous kind of song, almost like a reassurance, almost kind of like a work song, as it waits for all of you to board, you get the sense that this creature, with its giant spectacles on top of its giant eyes, is as old as the city itself. And as it waits for you to board, you hear it speak up in a tongue that is old and yet unmistakable to all of you. We will be heading to the blue sun next. All aboard. And it is at that we are going to end tonight's session. Let me go ahead and kill the music.
Is it wrong that I immediately want to get a plush of this sunship?
Yeah.
Yes, it's wrong. That thing is horrific.
It's Thomas the Sunship. Yeah, clearly.
No!
No! You made it worse!
You made it worse!
Okay, guys, quick things.
Toot, motherfucker.
Toot toot. Guys, we don't have time for a recap tonight. Just because things are really kind of tight time-wise for everybody. Plugs and shout-outs real quick. Guys, thank you to everybody who was watching. Angels Citadel Josh, Bing Cortana, Dynatera, Johnny Z80, Lily Red Wolf, Murfeather especially for, oh my god, running so many great Invisible Sun stuff yourself. Makashi1, Typhonia Starheart, thank you. We have shows tonight on Tuesday and Wednesday. I will be running tonight, Wednesday's happy hour. I will also be running our Flight of Fandom in the Control universe.
You madman.
I'm crazy. Everybody should know this by now. And in 2 weeks, I will run this show again. So guys, thanks so much for joining us. Also, big shout out to Encounter Party, to Jeff Stormer, Party of One, to Murfeather. I know that Murfeather, you've got another IS stream coming up soon, right? If not, please feel free to correct me later. I'll go make sure that we give a plug. We're going to do character recaps off stream. We're going to do a joy, despair, all that stuff. But the big thing I want to impart to you guys is thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for checking everything out. We're going to probably do this a little bit more slowed down on Tuesday. It's great to have you guys, and may the invisible sun shine on you all. Good night, everybody. Be good.